right. Let's get it 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 right.
You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Dealatofficial. And this is No Filters. Always appreciate you hitting that like button for me. Subscribing to the channel so you don't miss an episode and sharing this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Cause you see the title, fam. Ooh-wee. Let's get into this here.
Following the weekend death of one of the world's area around Puerto Vallarta is a virtual war zone, we're told, following the weekend death of one of the world's most ruthless drug kingpins. The Mexican government operation was supported by the U.S. Senior Foreign Policy Correspondent Jillian Turner from the State Department.
Apparently, a part of Mexico that folks thought was very safe has, turned the other way.
Night. The area around Puerto Vallarta is a virtual war zone, we're told, following the weekend death of one of the world's most ruthless drug kingpins. The Mexican government operation was supported by the U.S. Senior Foreign Policy Correspondent Jillian Turner has details tonight from the State Department.
Apparently, a part of Mexico that folks thought was very safe has, turned the other way.
American tourists in Mexico are facing a second night under State Department shelter-in-place orders for Puerto Vallarta and surrounding areas. This after Mexican security forces took out the leader of the notorious Jalisco cartel, known as El Mencho.
It is up there with Sinaloa as being one of the deadliest cartels and one of the main producers of fentanyl that traffics onto U.S. streets.
El Mencho's henchmen responded by taking to the streets, killing dozens of people and setting the city ablaze. Stores, gas stations, roadways, all burned.
It was surreal because we're going to the airport and we're dodging burned out cars in the middle of the street.
Flights in and out of the area were grounded.
There's no coming in and out of the city unless you own a vehicle.
Mexico's president is urging calm.
The most important thing at this moment is to guarantee the peace and security of the entire population of all of Mexico.
Meanwhile, Mexican officials are disclosing new details on the operation.
Through military intelligence work, we located a trusted person of one of El Mencho's romantic partners who transported her to a facility in the town of Tapalpa, Jalisco. At that location, she met with El Mencho.
Mexican officials plan to arrest El Mencho there, but he opened fire and fled to nearby woods where he was later found.
El Mencho came out. They left behind a group with a large quantity of weapons. It really was a very violent attack.
He died from gunshot injuries. The White House says the U.S. played a vital role in the operation. Trump officials, quote, provided intelligence that Mexican officials relied upon.
He promised to stop the flow of fentanyl, secure the border, prosecute and go after the cartels. Part of this is working with our allies like Mexico.
Well, tonight, Aeromexico says the company hopes to resume air operations gradually, but the State Department says Americans in those areas should continue to follow official government guidance and hunker down. They should also call that phone number seen on your screen there. As of tonight, Brett, we do not know of any government evacuation flights planned for Americans there. Brett?
Chaos erupting in Mexico. American tourists at the resort town of Puerto Vallarta are under a shelter-in-place order after the Mexican military killed a cartel kingpin known as El Mencho. The takedown was part of a joint U.S.-Mexico operation, and now cartels are retaliating, wreaking havoc in towns across the country. President Trump has been pushing hard for a crackdown on these deadly narco-terrorists. Jessica, the cartel kingpin El Mencho, so he's Jewish.
That's related to Jack Hughes, and I saw him at Katz's.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
It's scary if you're just in the Guadalajara airport and this is happening if you're on vacation in Puerto Vallarta. But I love to see the cooperation between the U.S. and Mexico and President Sheinbaum. Apparently there was some
drugs. They kind of get him caught up. Our lead story for today is actually not a hip hop story at all. Okay? It is actually a world story that is currently breaking. There is a drug cartel leader out of Mexico that was assassinated today. It's caused the ripple effect in the entire neighboring country of the United States, which is Mexico. And the person who was assassinated or killed or murdered is the Mexican cartel leader, Mencho. Okay, now we've mentioned this guy a couple times on here. He's one of the people known for his ruthlessness. He's been known for literally bullying the government and the police. You know, ironic thing about him, if you guys don't know, we're going to get into a little bit of everything. He's a former cop himself. So the former cop ends up being the biggest drug dealer in Mexico, or one of them. He was killed today via military operations, according to authorities. And that led to an entire wave of rapid violence. And when I mean violence, I'm saying violence. They have set fire to buses, public transportations. They have shot up and, you know, thrown Molotov cocktails and, you know, whatever they could find in the airport. They have shot up police vehicles. They're wreaking absolute havoc. They've set stuff on fire. And it's clear that the ripple effect of killing someone who is a very powerful and important Mexican drug trafficker is going to be felt not only today, as the news was confirmed that he died, but in the following and subsequent weeks. Now, I do want to give you guys, and again, you know, we're going to get to all the bullshit. I know some of y'all like, yo, fuck that. We just want to hear about Blueface getting his girl pregnant. Okay, I got you. Don't you worry. No, I want to hear about young boy having his 13th kid and he's beefing with these other women. Don't worry, I got you, okay? But we do have, you know, some stuff to get to, which I think this is just a big topic. Yes, we're gonna get to T.I. and 50. Just hang in there. Again, I don't know if you can order food if you're on the East Coast. I'm telling you, it's bad out here. But just hang out. We're gonna get to everything tonight, okay? All right. First and foremost, let me just start off, and I'm going to give you a brief overview and hopefully try to explain. And this is the academy part, right? I'm going to try.
Real quick, you know you in here with your boy Dilla T. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. You only going to do it one time and one time right now. You subscribe for free. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. And share this with the world. And of course, family, if you come in, get comfortable. Make sure you don't forget who you in here with. Your boy Dilla T, my fam. And you know this is No Filters. Let me bring you up to par. Right now, big leader of the Mexican cartel just went down. Man went in a helicopter, didn't come back down. All of a sudden, he gone, and the whole Mexico going crazy. You understand me? People coming, women, wiping, being done. This happened, fireworks, everything going on right now. When I say it's World War III in Mexico right now because of that situation, it's a difference. Reason why we need to cover this is because you need to understand that that ain't just happened by coincidence. And as they keep talking about who supplies and demand, the United States, that's what we're talking about when we're speaking about cartels and things of that nature. It used to be El Chapo. Now it was El Mencho. Now it's El Nino, nobody. So what you're looking at right now, fam, is the fact that the government at work. You're looking at another Trump move in another situation that was called down to happen. This ain't no coincidental stuff. The man too powerful. And you know how he too powerful? Because him being gone, the boss being gone, the whole city is going nuts. And it's going to happen for weeks and months to come. So you got to understand. Somebody made a call about this situation, player. This wasn't one of them things that all of a sudden, oh man, oh my God, you know, we just, you know, somebody just caught him slipping. No, this ain't that. The man runs this side of the world. Anytime you run this side of the world, fam, It's a call for you to be out of pocket, or somebody happened, or somebody was disrespectful, or something was something that says, oh, it's his time. So you got to understand, with power comes a lot. Heavy is the crown that wears, heavy is the head that wears the... So we got to make it make sense, fam, when we see stuff like this and say, hey, this is another distraction. But we know at the end of the day, if Trump's involved and if the United States involved, in my mind, Prince Andrew, UK, United Kingdoms, New England, that man's name just came up in the Epstein files, and then all of a sudden we talking about the cartel boss. We're here to bring light to darkness. We're here to read the headline, and then we're going to read in between the lines. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, become a member today. It's free. We're here to save your life. Never forget the raffle. One woman, one man will win a No Filters Classic hoodie or a No Filters Classic t-shirt. All it takes is your $2 or your $5 in the Cash App. You see it pinned at the top of the chat. Smash that like button, double tap that screen, subscribe for free. But at the end of the day, don't forget the raffle. You see the Cash App, you see the Super Chat, you see the stickers. It's all there. Whatever you can do, fam, is love. Because at the end of the day, just you watching this reaches out to somebody else. Say that again with me. Just you watching this reach out to somebody else. Never forget to share this with the world. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Why? Because we cook it.
I'd explain, again, I'm not an expert, but I'm slightly versed that I could hopefully explain to you what the fuck is happening. Okay, now, first and foremost, obviously people should know, you know, our natural landmass neighbor is Mexico. Well, if you guys don't know, Mexico is a really interesting place. Obviously, we've been going through some stuff as the United States when it comes to like illegal immigration and stuff like that with them. However, I'm going to try to give you like a history. It's not the full history, but the history that you should know that we could keep the story moving. Okay. So Mexico is like innately corrupt, honestly, right? And let me just be honest with you and just kind of let you know, like most countries that have a lot of poverty.
Real quick, just so you know this academic. You getting an understanding of the Mexican cartel, Mexico and United States. He's giving you understanding of who they gave us first, who was called first, the first boss, next boss to this boss, and the whole situation and how it ties in. So for those that don't be knowing, we always hearing about the Mexican cartel. Have you ever seen the movie Desperado? Let's go back, let's go back, let's go back. Desperado. If you've seen Desperado, press 1. The point I'm making is Mexican cartel has always been in the back of your mind, in our conversations. So it's always been a entity, a family, a very high entity in the world. Just like the royal family, you got the Mexican cartel, you got the mob. You get what I'm saying? I mean, think about this, man. You got the royal family, Mexican cartel, the mob. You got the Oval Office. You got the Soviet, you got the Russian cartel. This is real. These people exist, okay? So the point that we're making right now is that he is finna give you some background and then fast forward to the guy today and how this is so powerful and the whole meaning of the situation. Hit that like button, smash that like button, double tap that screen. When somebody come in here and they coming in free, tell somebody hit that like button, double tap that screen, subscribe right now. If you didn't, do it now. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Let's go.
That allow or ignore or work with or, you know, give a blind eye to whatever, to drug traffickers or, you know, these area bosses. You know, I've spoke about this in the Caribbean and how that works. I've spoke about this, how it works in Colombia. It's innately corrupt. You have politicians who essentially, they're not with drug trafficking, but they might look like, the best way to explain Mexico, it's not like they are anti-drug trafficking. They're anti-drug traffickers that they don't fuck with, if that makes sense, right? So it's one of those things, it's kind of baked in the cake. What does that mean? The real quick abridged history, and again, I apologize to any Mexicans who will say you're getting this wrong, but historically, since the 30s, like 1930s, there has been the cartels, right? And the cartel is like a gang, right? So there's been cartels in Mexico, and that is, the first thing they were, involved in trafficking, right? Was alcohol. Right? I mean, obviously, when you go back to the 30s, the United States, there's a prohibition and all that type of stuff. But if you go back in Mexico, the first cartels was dealing with alcohol. Later on, it kind of trumps up to other stuff and eventually gets to marijuana. Also, it becomes like an intermediary place for cocaina, or that white, to get from South America to the United States. Okay, so there's a few cartels you should probably know, right? I think some of the first ones that I'm familiar with is that there's the Gulf Cartel, and I'll just kind of Google some of these things. So the Gulf Cartel, one of the longest running cartel organizations. I believe they were operating, as you can see from here, it says from the 1930s, okay? You have the Gulf Cartel, you have, what else? I think I even wrote some of this shit down. Make sure I'm a little bit accurate on what the fuck I'm talking about. You got a Gulf Cartel, Tijuana Cartel, you have Sinaloa Cartel, that's where El Chapo is from. You have, what else? Jalisco. Okay, give me 1 second. Make sure I'm getting this. Oh, this is right. You have the Mencho Cartel. You have, it's a bunch of different cartels that's just basically different regions. Now the idea here, and you don't have to get too much into it, is that the way how Mexico works, because it's a really impoverished place, is that drug traffickers get more power than the government officials that rule those places, because they could provide more resources. Okay, so they come up with this term, how niggas in the hood would say their block or their hood or whatever. They come up with La Plaza, right? So every poor place that's connected to a town basically becomes and turns into the hood for some cartel that becomes, very big, especially near that border of Mexico and the United States. Okay, this is good. If you look at the map, right? Oh my God. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. Sorry, chat. And again, I know some of y'all might be like, okay, I like to be a little bit in depth here. Okay, well, let me expand it. All right, bet. Cool. I got it. Can we do this? No. Can we do this? Yeah.
K-Lo in the bill.
Holy shit, it's like it wants me to buy a map. Okay. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, I can't even pull up a map. All right, anyway, the point is, and you'll see, all of these, so right here is where the United States would be. The idea is drug traffickers are trying to get drugs into the United States. Okay, Mexico kind of becomes the most important place because it's the poorest neighbor we have, and it becomes the place that you could get drugs into relatively easy, and how they have to get in drugs into the United States is literally just cross the border. So that's how they have a bunch of people who basically become drug traffickers, right? Okay, cool. So you have a few historically, when we're talking about whether it's cocaine or we're talking about marijuana, we have the Gulf cartels that were popping back in the 80s. Who else? You have the Juarez cartel that was popping in the 70s. Now, if you guys, just to kind of, when did Pablo Escobar die? Okay, so before, when Colombia used to send a lot of drugs to the United States, you would have basically the Colombians wanted to use other people to assist in getting drugs into the United States. So they utilized people or groups like the Juarez cartel in Mexico to kind of get it into Mexico, and they could try to fly it over the border. Supposedly, they would try to avoid detection of radar. They would fly a super high plane. So the Juarez cartel used to do that. So that's the 70s we're talking about. So the 70s, We're talking Juarez cartel. We're talking about the fucking Guadalajara cartel. And we're talking about the fucking Gulf cartel. Okay. What happens is, just like everything, when you're doing drug trafficking, you know what I mean? It's like an NFL running back. You're not going to be doing this shit for life. So a lot of times they took losses. You know what I mean? The government declared that they're doing war on drugs. And, you know, there's a lot of interesting games being played. Now, what happens after that is what we know. Going into the 90s, we get this guy, El Chapo, okay? El Chapo becomes the person who essentially kind of rises out of like a bunch of different cartels. And I think he was with another cartel that, you know, he snaked somebody. It's a long story. And if you guys watch Narcos, you'll kind of get all of this. There's actually a Narco Mexico. You can kind of get all of this in like bite-sized portions. But basically, after the 90s, we get El Chapo, okay, who runs, and he basically branches off for some other niggas, and he runs what's called the Sinaloa cartel, okay? Now, what happens then is the quintessential part of what I'm gonna get to with this current news, okay? And I know some of y'all might think I'm yapping, but I need to give this context. So the way how drug trafficking honestly works in Mexico, the politicians act like they don't fuck with these guys. Like if you ever watch Narcos, even in Colombia, you're like, how the fuck did Pablo Escobar blow up a fucking plane? You know, after he blew up a plane, they gave the nigga like fucking, they made him make his own jail. Like, how do these guys do these things and then not get punished? Well, it becomes like this interesting handshake where to win an election in the United States, they basically just go get Jewish people to fund it, right? Like, I mean, I'm being a little joking here, but they need people to fund your campaign in the United States. Well, in Mexico, when you're campaigning for power, usually the drug traffickers got the bread. They'll align themselves with politicians, not in an official way, but in a way to say, if we fund and help you win, which not only means giving money towards whatever you got going on, but whoever you going against, we might even kill them niggas. That's how it works in other countries. This ain't, you know what I mean? Like, imagine somebody say, yo, we fuck with Trump so much, if he going against Biden, we'll just clap that nigga. So that's how it works in Mexico. Now, here's the thing. It's like this interesting thing where, like, if you help some people get in power, they're not gonna, you know, say, fuck these niggas, but they can't stand with you either. Like, nah, let him sell his drugs. So even if you watch, like, Narcos, and there's actually, there's a show, I believe it's on Netflix, it's called like Chapo. And you realize that there's politicians that he essentially helped get elected. And they have to play this really interesting game of, yo, Chapo, y'all niggas is killing too many people, calm it down. We need peace.
Right, so now hit that like button, double tap that screen. So I wanted you to get a brief understanding of what that meant about getting up from that to El Chapo. Because you have to understand that all of these people are in power and in play. But at the end of the day, they've always had to align themselves with the right side. Because at the end of the day, a lot of all of us know, oh, we're not putting that in our name. We probably got the bag, but we're not going to put that in our name. So that makes even more sense to say, hey, we got the bag, but we need a name. That's basically what it is, fam. We got the bag, but we need a name. We got the bag, but we need a face. So that's the place of how they've been playing this thing the whole time. Now and see, now I know this, but we got to understand who don't know this. And this is why we have to learn these things as we go forward. Now, real quick, hit that like button, double tap that screen. The biggest thing about knowing what we just did right now is gave you background. Now we want to move forward on El Mencho and how his life has truly changed everything abroad and why it's been going on like it has.
Landed within 6. He was the El Chapo of his set. He was one of Trapmore Gang. It's been a crazy day following the elimination of the leader of the CJNG cartel in Mexico, El Mencho. This was a serious guy. He was the El Chapo of his set. He was one of the biggest and most wanted narco traffickers in America, not just the United States, but all of North America. He was a very feared individual. He had a lot of people under him, and now they've been out raising absolute chaos in the streets of Mexico, and it is out of control. I'm hearing reports that over 100 National Guard might have been killed, hundreds of police officers might have been wounded, Marines have been killed. It's out of control, and they're literally still tearing the city and country apart over what happened to El Mencho. So I'm going to show you a whole bunch of things that have been going on and some clips, and you're going to see just how out of control this thing is with the cartels. I feel like these guys are not to be played with, okay? So basically, widespread chaos has been going on all over Mexico. You might have seen this video going around, okay? This one's pretty crazy. This is basically a video of cartel members pulling up, taking over a gas station and setting it on fire. Now, fortunately, it looks like they didn't actually harm anybody or shoot anybody. They seem to actually let these people go that were at the gas station. They actually wave them off and say, all right, just get out of here, just go, just get out of here. And then they basically pour gasoline all over the ground. They just spray gas everywhere, and pretty bravely, to be honest. I'm surprised they didn't end up setting themselves on fire. They just set the gas station alight. So they're completely just destroying the city and the country. As soon as the guy in the car was very compliant. I should leave. Okay, I'll stay. I'll get out. Let's talk. I'll stay in the car. Okay, I'll leave. Thanks. Good luck. They're giving mixed messages to the person in the car. I'm also impressed they didn't set themselves on fire. I thought that was coming. There's just been absolute chaos in the city. Okay, it has been out of control. Basically, they're burning the city down as a whole. It's not. They don't have a vendetta against the gas station or anything like that. And there's a bunch going on. Okay, this looks like a convenience store that's been set on fire. This is crazy. They're literally causing havoc to regular citizens. So they're lighting supermarkets on fire. Okay, they're burning cars down. Apparently, there's rumors that they are killing civilians, but I haven't seen that personally. It does say that they've threatened to kidnap any American tourists they catch and kill them. That's because it basically is a retaliation because the Americans allegedly supported this operation. They're shooting into the air. I don't know if they're shooting at planes and helicopters, but it is just out of control completely. And then just hopping on the bike and getting out of there, I guess. It's crazy. It's just out of control. They've just lost their leader and they're just raising complete hell. I mean, I would be terrified. These civilians standing there. You know, cars on fire all over the cities and towns, huge explosions, gasoline being burned. This isn't good for the environment, people. This is extremely bad. Nobody is benefiting from this. Even cartels, this isn't good for them. You know, it looks like an airstrike or something's gone off. They're setting fire to buses. You know, there's people on the beach just seeing the smoke from all of the destruction going on. It's just non-stop everywhere. We already saw this yesterday. This was footage of people kind of frantically running from an airport that were apparently being targeted. There was talk of shots fired at an airport. We don't actually hear any of that in this video, but it was rumored that there was going to be some serious situations going on there. You know, roadblocks are being made, blockades. They're not letting people drive down the roads. They've got military vehicles. It is insane that this is even on the table for them. I don't know if that's the police with a military vehicle blockading from the cartels, or if that's the police having a little face-off. I wouldn't want to be messing with this. Is this a bank or a phone store, or they're just doing absolutely anything they can get their hands on down. Smashing glass. It's just destruction. And it's so sad to see a country just abused this way. I think the average Mexican just wants better for themselves and their families. And this is just like, you know, it's just self-inflicted misery on their own country. It's their country. So this guy's driving on a boat and you just see smoke everywhere. The whole city is just on fire. And they say this is happening all over Mexico. It's happening all over the country. It's just everywhere.
Wow, shit is getting crazy. There's fires all over the fucking city. It's nuts. Yeah. Wow, everywhere you look, we're up on the roof here. Fires all over the place. Can't even see the mountains anymore.
As you can hear, these are Americans. They should definitely be worried. They should definitely be sheltering. So this is people what appear to be vacating an airport onto the runway amid these horrific scenes. Literally, they're all walking out onto the runway to get away from whatever's going on in there. I don't know if these are cartel vehicles. Looks like they're giving cartel vibes. I don't know if this is Norfolk Airport or a regular road, but people are hot-tailing it out there by the looks of it. Even Costco is not safe. They've got Costco on fire. When the Costco burns, you know that society is ready to fall now. Not the Costco. Please, somebody think of the Costco. All those bargains just going up in flames. I've only been to Costco a couple of times, but it's tragic. It's certainly tragic. I'm assuming this is another angle of Costco, and it's just truly tragic. When you just see that, it's definitely Costco. When you just see such destruction, it's just so sad. You just think, like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've always just had this feeling of, like, anything that you see in the world, like somebody made that, somebody built that, somebody put that Costco together. That Costco means something to somebody in the community. That's their Costco. That's where they get all their shit from. They need it. The idea that people are just out here just burning all the resources and things that everyone else in the community actually needs is just really sad to me. And look, I'm scared of saying anything bad about the cartels, but really, it just makes you think. Like, if this is how you're treating society and your fellow Mexican, maybe you guys are not. Maybe you guys actually, I'm not going to say too much, but they're saying this is a female Mencho Special Forces member.
See, and this the situation here, because I don't think people really understand how serious this really is. Like, just because this don't affect you, you don't really know how it affects things. Let me say that again. Just because it don't affect you, you don't know how it affects things. You understand? The biggest thing about this situation right now that's really been going on, that we've seen mostly, is that the bottom line that's been causing these problems, top fame right here, the stuff that we really can't control, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we always had to be involved with it, but we can't control it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Because that way they try to do it is different. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. We're trying to get order here. We're trying to get some order here because they're trying to play with me. Let's get some order, fam. Let's get some order here. So yeah, they try to do it differently, fam, because of how they try to set the game up. But I'm glad we able to get situations like this so we can figure out what's going on. So we'll know how to handle things, you know what I'm saying? Because to me, I think that's what's basically important right now. Oh
No, fam, you see how they just tried to hate on me, fam.
Criminal gangs intent on demonstrating. If the killing of one of Mexico's most powerful drug lords was a show of strength and purpose by the government, so the response has been a show of force by the cartels. Across the country, roads have been blocked, cars and buses torched, banks and shops set on fire by powerful criminal gangs intent on demonstrating their reach and deterring further action against them.
Look, now we're scared. We only go out when it's necessary. It's good that they're finishing with all these organizations, but there's fear because of what's happening. You don't know how to react or what to do.
One of the cities targeted, Puerto Vallarta on the Pacific coast, a hub for US and domestic tourism, shrouded in thick smoke from numerous fires. Puerto Vallarta is in Jalisco state, home to the drug boss known as El Mencho. Much of the violence has happened here, in cities like Guadalajara, but it's spread far beyond, to neighboring Guanajuato state, to Acapulco, the state of Oaxaca, to the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula and the resort city of Cancun. The epicenter, though, was Tapalpa and an army operation there on Sunday morning. Mexico's government said it was aided by US intelligence in moving against El Mencho, or Mexio Cervantes, longtime head of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, subject to the $15 million reward from the US government, responsible for trafficking cocaine, fentanyl, and other substances across the border. Authorities say he was injured in the raid and died en route to Mexico City. The Jalisco state governor urging people to stay home.
Objetivo principal durante esta jornada.
Our main objective from early today has been to assure the safety of the people. Therefore, from this security meeting, which is in permanent session, we have activated the Code Red, which remains in effect.
Mexico has been under increasing US pressure to act against the cartels, which have become ever more militarized, controlling territory as well as running criminal activity.
We are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year.
After last year's US campaign against alleged Venezuelan drug boats, such a threat to bomb the sovereign territory of, among other things, this summer's World Cup co-host nation has always been resisted by Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum. Sunday's operation may well relieve some of that pressure.
Felicito a México porque I congratulate Mexico because the Trump administration is constantly threatening Mexico, claiming it wants to send troops, attack the cartels, and that Mexico isn't doing enough. This sends a powerful message to the Trump administration that Mexico is fighting, and fighting hard and effectively.
President Sheinbaum said her government was coordinating with state administrations and that in most of the country there was complete normality. But Guadalajara's airport, just one place where normality was not prevailing. Passengers scrambling to upper levels, worried about fires spreading below. The city's streets all but empty as people heeded instructions to shelter in place, as they did into the night in Leon, the capital of Guanajuato state. After a day of frightening disorder and violence, Mexicans left wondering what comes next. Well, joining us now is Dr. Annette Idler, who's head of the Global Security Program at the University of Oxford. Thanks very much for joining us. Let's start on where we left off that report, the question of what comes next. What will the Mexican authorities be worried about? What sort of scenarios might they be expecting to happen next?
In the immediate term, we are going to see or continue to see a demonstration of violence, right? That includes roadblocks, burning cars and buses, attacks on shops and infrastructure. And we've also seen how the cartels are using armed presence in cities to intimidate people. And that's definitely something that the cartel is continuing to do to just show that they can still paralyze daily life. The key question, I think, really is for the Mexican authorities, can the security forces contain what we are seeing right now to a somewhat short-lived shock, or will this instead turn into a spiral of acts of more retaliation and also opportunistic crime by splinter groups.
And is there the possibility that within the organization itself there could be factions vying for control, that other cartels might try to impinge on the territory that had been run by El Mencho up until this point? I mean, what kind of fractures might play out within organized crime inside Mexico now?
It's very likely that we're now going to see fighting between potential successors of El Mencho. This is just one leader and a very important leader, and of course the killing has been very symbolic and a strong political statement. But of course the structure or the organization as such is still intact. So the question now will be, out of those potential successors, who might be able to get control of key revenue nodes like ports and the Pacific routes, also the precursor import channels, and kind of this very strategic.
I mean, if you think about this, hit that like button and double tap that screen. Listen to me, you in here with Dilla T and my fam. You know this is No Filters. Listen to me. They are literally reporting a live gang organizational territory boss change. This is epic, because if you actually look at what we're looking at, they are reporting the death of a boss with a drug cartel, and then they're reporting how they handled it. And then they're reporting as if it's like the presidency going from one president and him being assassinated to another. I mean, this is how this sounds. Like the way she's regular, like when you normalize this is what this is, fam. They normalizing the Mexican cartel. And see, that's where you got to understand all the movies that we've seen, everything involved. They are literally broadcasting the news as if this is the election. And not necessarily election, but like, hey, like this is like tradition. You know, this guy get assassinated, and then the cartel goes crazy in the streets to honor his name. And then all of a sudden, within time, you have a new boss elected. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, we look at a savage in the building. It's so different that we looking at stuff and hearing different things being done in the United States, but for this to go to Mexico and for it to be done in this fashion. It almost makes you wonder that the pressure came from Trump. If you agree that the pressure came from Trump, press 1. And I say that because when that guy that was literally living in Mexico said that he was so happy for Mexico government capturing or being involved with this, which we don't know. But the fact that he said he was happy for Mexico because he was tired of Trump threatening Mexico about coming over there to police them. That man was like, this is a great day for Mexico because we don't need this man to come over here and police us. But the government knows who they allow power to. Let me say that again for the people in the back. The government knows who they allow power to and who they take from. So there's no way that Trump all of a sudden today was like, hey, you know what? I'm finna start taking down major cartels. I'm finna start bringing in the basketball. I'm finna talk about the mob in Vegas and how the NBA got something to do with gambling. I mean, we can go down a list. Well, how many things has come out since Trump has been in office and the Epstein files have been on the line?
I mean, some of this stuff is diabolical. Because in my mind, I wonder if Epstein files wasn't on the line, we would have never known about the NBA gambling. We wouldn't have known about no Mexican cartel. We wouldn't know about, boy, it's so much, boy, come on, fam. Come on, fam. Be real, fam. Come on now. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. You see the super chat. You see it. You see the, hear me. If the Epstein files wasn't existing, so many things wouldn't even occur. We understand distraction, but then we also understand cover up. We also understand discrediting. We also understand out of sight, out of mind. And they know what they're doing. The more other conversations, Obama and them pictures of monkeys. I mean, come on, fam. The distractions are really getting beyond. And now you're talking about a Mexican cartel boss and Trump and them been threatened to go over there and get at him. And then every time Trump and them do something, think about this for a second. We so don't care about Trump doing law-abiding citizen activity or law-abiding activity. You realize that? We don't even care about him catching bad guys. Let's be real. Oh, we're going to talk tonight. Let's be real. We honestly don't even care about Trump catching nobody bad. We don't even care about Trump doing anything that says the law being upheld to the fullest extent. We don't even care. I mean, I'm going to be real, fam. I don't feel no type of way about hearing about Trump locking nobody up. And I'm going to be real with you. I don't feel no type of way about him locking nobody up. I mean, we don't even give a... Come on, fam. Think about it for a second. He doing all this, that, and the other, and nobody's giving him props. Nobody cares. You got Kash Patel having meetings, press conferences, talking about another victory for America. Another victory for the Trump administration behind our great president, Donald Trump, bringing in back. I mean, he and they know it because they have to write the script out as such. That's why he's using those type of words. I never heard that. I never heard an FBI agent or anybody uplift the president so much every time something happens. And I've never ever heard a president being involved with a PDF and yet still being able to. This is epic, fam. This is so epic, boy. This is beyond. Because if you, I'm telling you, if you think about it, this is so bad about Trump, Epstein files, everything involved. ISIS, Minneapolis, that whole situation over there that Trump and them had to do with. Ruth in the building, you already know what it is. You understand what I'm saying? It's just funny how we don't even care if Trump locked somebody up for something bad. When we heard about the NBA, we was like, whoa. But at the same time, it was Chauncey Billups' name. And we was like, Chauncey ain't hurt nobody. Chauncey ain't did nothing. That was shocking because Chauncey Billups don't do nothing but play basketball and be a coach. So it's just funny how we don't even care what the president has done, what he's doing, how he's going about anything, because there's been so much violence and so much just disgusting violence that hasn't been held accountable, that we don't even care if he, like in my head, him locking up a Mexican drug lord is almost wrong. I'd rather have this Mexican drug lord on the streets than this PD. Ooh, see, when you start weighing, the type of danger you would be with, this danger up against this, what we doing? That's the world we living in now. You'd rather have a drug lord in the streets than have a PDF. You better hear me today. It makes you start wondering. You'd rather take this bad than that bad, or this evil over that evil. Or would you take evil over disgusting, or would you take disgusting over evil? We got to talk about it. We're here to talk about it. You don't expect this when you pull up on Dealatofficial No Filters. See, you see the title, you get the headline, but see, we start reading in between the lines, and then we start going in between our lives. We read the headline, start talking about reading in between the lines, and then we start talking about our lives. We in a position where now we have to choose which bad is worse, or which worse is bad, or which bad that you can live with that doesn't get worse. You ever live with bad and it didn't get worse? It's just bad. That it almost makes you see worse and you settle for bad. Did you get that? Ooh, woo. Follow me. Are you with me? Follow me. You ever understood bad until you seen worse and you settled for bad? I want you to really understand what's going on right now, because in this case right now, Trump is making you have to make decisions over disgusting, evil, bad, worse, sick, appalled, and just no excuse. See, in this world now, picking the worst or the baddest, that ain't even the problem. It's about you knowing what you can handle. Because all of us are in situations that's kind of bad. It hadn't gotten worse, but it's bad. But yet, you can still bear it. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're looking at right now. You got drugs. See, we're talking about drugs. We're talking about fentanyl. We ain't talking about weed. We ain't talking about cocaine. We're talking about fentanyl. And when you're talking about fentanyl and PDFs, fentanyl and PDFs, drug addicts, PDFs. What we talking about? See, I would take this any day of our lives. Why? One, hear me now. As adults, we have a decision because we know what we're using. See, as children, PDFs, they don't know what's going on. They don't even know who this person is. They can't identify this PDF. See, you can identify this drug. You can see that it ain't what it is. That's all based on your mind. But being a PDF, that's just the innocence of taking advantage of innocence. That a child can't identify. That's the times we living in. Which bad can you live with? Which bad can you maintain? People ask me all the time, what's up with you just maintaining? Because I know we're living in a bad world. We got to maintain. If you ever thought about that we're doing nothing but a quest of happiness. Ooh, we're going to talk tonight. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, learn something tonight. You ever thought about every day we live and just waking up, it's just a quest of happiness? It's a journey. It's a road to power, but it's a quest to be happy. But it's a journey to feel achieved. Because in this world, we're doing nothing but every day after the money, the power, the respect, the love. But yet we still have to feel achieved. Or we have to feel that we succeeded. Or we have to feel that we are completed. This is our everyday fight. This is our everyday struggle. I was just talking to my mom about this. You better hear me. Because I say, we ain't doing nothing but trying to satisfy or overfeel, overstand, overbear, overrich, overlive every day. We want to be happy. I mean, we're on a quest to get to a top of, what are you getting to the top of what? The top of a feeling? Because that top place is only a feeling. That when all sees that you're there, you can be acknowledged. But even in that moment, it's just a feeling when you're there. Because even there, it's going to become that we be trying to put together every day. It's so much that we pack on top of each other. We keep packing, we keep packing, we keep packing. You ever tripped out? The decisions you make are based off feelings. That's it. Because if you logically would make decisions in a logical world, you wouldn't be in the position you in right now, or you in today. You better hear me. Let me say that again for somebody in the back that needed to hear that. You wouldn't make a decision out of feelings if you weren't where you was today. And if you were logically making these decisions, you wouldn't be in the position you is today. You wouldn't experience. You better thank God for feelings. Because if you wouldn't feel, you wouldn't experience. And if you didn't feel, you wouldn't walk down that road that make you go through that for you to experience a lesson for you to tell somebody about it. It's a reason. We wouldn't logically even be in this place to feel that we have to bear the bad and which one is ugly. When we talk about good, bad, ugly, disgusting, the worst, sickening. You would rather be logic. You would rather be logic. But without that, you wouldn't even know yourself. You wouldn't know your kids. Because you wouldn't bear the feelings of anything. You would have no charisma. No charisma. No character. It's just interesting to me how all of it works together. All things work together for the what? You better hear me. Is that real? It all works together. But it's just crazy to me that we're in a time where we have to pick a drug lord that can contaminate the streets with a real level of something that could kill you in 1 second. And we're faced to make choices of having PDFs that desire our children. Take a pick of who you got to live with. Because this is what this is. There's even rumors of Epstein still living. I wouldn't put that past nobody. Why? Because they have done nothing but feed us a narrative. That's all they do is feed us a narrative. All they said was Epstein passed away. We don't see no body. We don't get no funeral. We don't see no cat. We don't see nothing. And then all of a sudden, Epstein living. He walking around. People verifying this. I mean, this the world we in. It's the narrative. It's never been real life. It's been real narratives. Diddy gets locked up, and in that last Diddy document, he in the hotel yelling out, Let's get ahead of this. Do we call our people over here? Call our people. We got to change the narrative. I mean, he's saying it out of his mouth, yelling it out. Act like that ain't really real. Logic living, then go through something. But if you don't go through something, you wouldn't know what to do tomorrow. Oh, you better hear me today. Don't nobody want to go through nothing, but they want. If you don't go through nothing, what you gonna tell your kids? How you gonna know to handle whatever comes? See, we're not praying to go through nothing. We're not asking to go through nothing. But for some reason, because of our feelings, we can't feel like going through something without opening our mouths and speaking up. It ain't a thing that we want to go through something. It's just the fact that you ever asked, it's funny. You ever been around somebody that ain't been through nothing? And you could tell too, because how they talk. You could tell how they moving, how they think. You ever just been around somebody that ain't been through nothing? I'm talking about just nothing. I ain't talking like no kids. I'm like, and their life might be nice. Their life probably doing what it's doing. They probably didn't go through half of what you went through, but it's just, you ever just been around somebody that just ain't been through nothing? You know what I'm saying? Just nothing. Like, we're not praying to go through the worst, Lord, and we definitely don't want to struggle. Brandy in the building. You understand? But it's just, you ever just been around somebody that ain't been through nothing? And then it almost, in that moment, you almost thank God for what you've been through. Woo! This is how life is. This is how things be turning. And you be thinking that's weird. It ain't. You be thinking it's retarded. It ain't. You be thinking like, wow, it ain't. It's just funny that you gotta, I'm bringing this up so you can pay attention to these things so you can learn from them. I'm bringing it up like that. Because if you ever get around somebody that ain't been through nothing, you almost thank God for what you've been through because you know something. You ain't got to be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but you know how to cut some shit. What? You know how to cut it up? Tell somebody you ain't got to be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but you know how to cut it up. That's what you got to throw on the shirt, Chris. That's what it is. Ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I know how to cut something. You hear me? That's the real as it gets. But I'm just trying to get you to understand that's the same things that you have been against. Those are the same things that you're going to need in this day and time. That's my argument today. The same things. Because right now, Trump has come against the Mexican cartel. We don't know what type of war that is. You understand me? The level of things and distractions that Trump's administration is pulling out the sock, pulling out the basket, pulling out the lost and found. Y'all don't really know how it's going to affect us if you in the US of A. The man was just talking about opening up war conversations with Iran. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. You better hear me right now. And now we talking about Mexico? The cartel? Let me tell you something, man. Anybody can be touched. If they made a call about the boss in the Mexican car, what? If they made a call about Diddy, what? If they broad daylight Charlie Kirk, what? Anybody can be touched. The way Trump going about things right now, it almost makes you think and wonder that the same people that was involved, in charge, involved in charge, and then all of a sudden Trump, it makes me feel like Trump then either turned on some people, or I feel like also that Trump has taken a stand because of his own self. See, forget that, he gonna protect himself at the end of the day. So it's a bigger deal that I'm trying to tell you about him choosing to turn with Mexico and go about this thing as he has. Because now he got Mexico in his face. Think about this, man. I think let me just cat in the building. I think Trump was pressed. I think he pressed Mexico because he want to give us something that'll take our mind off the Epstein files. Let me say that again for the people in the back. He want to give us something that'll take our mind off the Epstein files. You hear me? And because he wants to do that, he's picking and choosing any and everybody. That's why right now anybody can get it. And what he don't understand, what he's doing, he's going after powerful systems that's been in place before he was even thought of. The Mexican cartel been around as long as the United States government. What we talking about? So that's why I feel like he really got to hold up right quick. Because, let me say this. I know it's people, and I'm going to say this allegedly, but we got to understand from the movies we done watched that the American government and the Mexican cartel been in cahoots. And that's just looking at movies. Because why every movie like that? I don't want to hear it. Why every movie like that? So, to me, you got Trump coming in like, what? I'm finna just take the FBI and change that? Or because Epstein files going crazy, I'm finna adjust this? And see, a lot of these things be a situation that you and I think happen, and it ain't nowhere near got to do with it. This Mexican boss of the Mexican cartel, this boss could have just got unalived because of something that got to do with his wife. He may have gotten unalived because they told him to put somebody else in office and he don't want to step down. He may have just gotten unalived because they told him the new operations and he just didn't agree. Why? Because the new President Trump in office in this way. See, he could have been told, Trump said, we gonna do this and that. And he said, no, I'm not dealing with that crooked mother. You don't know why that man just unalived. Because just like the Nicki Minaj situation real fast, we didn't even trip off. A lot of y'all didn't know that Nicki Minaj had a lawsuit against her from the security guard that worked with her on a tour, and she had a problem, and her baby daddy / boyfriend got into it with her security guard because her security guard let somebody run up on Nicki and them. So Nicki baby daddy / boyfriend got into it with the security guard. The security guard sued them. That man won that lawsuit for over $100,000. Seemed like it was a meal or two. But what's funny is when he won, instead of her settling and giving the money, and she didn't give the money, the court contacted her and said, hey, give up your house too, partner, since you want to play with us. Come up out your house too. So when I say stuff like that, stuff that hits the fan like that you don't be knowing about, that this happened, I'm gonna tell you something, and fam just said, what's that Ferb's eye? It says, do you think El Mento is really dead or he faked his death? That's another situation too, because that could have happened. That could have happened as well. But I just want to put it out there about the fact that we don't know what really happened. And because of that, it's another narrative spin. Because why all of a sudden, the Mexican cartel boss is gone? Why all of a sudden you gonna act like this man hopped in a helicopter, then all of a sudden got unalived? We gotta make sense. We don't know. I know right now, anything that's going on and Trump is in office, I don't trust it. Hit that like button, double tap that screen.
Border corridors. So that's happening inside the cartel. But then in addition to that, of course, it's very likely that we will see more violence between what remains of the cartel and other rivals. So that includes still the Sinaloa cartel, which has been weakened somewhat, but is still, of course, very strong and present. And then in Mexico, what we're also seeing is like a patchwork of different regional groups. So it's really something that extends across the entire country.
And what about El Mencho's cartel itself? What do we know about its scale and the kind of operations that it's been carrying out?
They are involved in fentanyl and synthetics like methamphetamine trafficking. And here a key point is that this is a supply chain that starts in China, actually, where the chemical precursors come from. And they are then used in Mexico to produce fentanyl, which is then trafficked across the border into the United States, where it has resulted in more than 48,000 overdose deaths in 2024 alone, to give you an idea of the size. And we also know that around 96% of the fentanyl seizures are at the US-Mexico border. They're also involved in cocaine trafficking from South America, mainly Colombia, where it's being produced. They have strong alliances even with Ecuadorian gangs, because it's on the transit road to Mexico. So it is really a globally operating cartel. And of course, in addition to drug trafficking, it's involved in other forms of organized crime like extortion, human smuggling, arms trafficking, money laundering, you name it. And they just leverage corruption and local coercion to do that.
And what does this tell us about the potential direction of travel for the relationship between the Mexican state and these cartels? I mean, as far as the United States is concerned, they've been far too accommodating. Others might say they've been pragmatic in trying to deal with these extremely powerful actors within their own territory. I mean, how would you define the relationship up until this point? And is this a potential departure point in that relationship?
So historically, I mean, we've seen in Mexico, there have been different approaches by different governments, and some of them were really trying to directly fight organized crime. And as we see now, kind of the decapitation strategy. Others have been more, if you want, complicit, or we've seen a collusion also between state officials and the criminal groups. But throughout, unfortunately, they have not been very successful. So what we've seen right now is kind of a change in the way in which the cartels are structured. Over time, they've shifted from more monolithic cartels to more fragmented, localized splinter groups. And this is kind of what we're seeing right now. So in that sense, even though it is a major blow, it does not, unfortunately, really change the underlying structure of the cartels.
And that's not really what President Trump has been talking about. He's been talking about the potential for US direct action, bombing cartel headquarters inside Mexican territory. What do we see in terms of that pressure, of those direct action, bombing cartel headquarters inside Mexican territory? What do we see in terms of that pressure, direct action, bombing cartel headquarters inside Mexican territory? What do we see in terms of that pressure, of those tactics from the US? Will they be satisfied by what we've just seen on Sunday inside Mexico?
So I think President Sheinbaum, Mexican President Sheinbaum, she has shown through this action now that she is committed. I mean, we know that the US and Mexico have worked together on the operation. of the killing. And that included intelligence from the United States, and then of course kind of the implementation, the execution by the Mexican armed forces. And that is a way, of course, for Mexico to say to the United States, look, we are taking action, and we don't want the US to kind of unilaterally intervene in what's happening in Mexico. So I think that might help in terms of juggling the relationship here. Long term, of course, we'll need to see where Trump will be going here.
All right, Dr. Annette Idler, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And now trip off this real fast. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Kat says they are dumb, destroying their own country. Shaking my head. Trip off this right quick. You remember when I told you about Stargate? Type 1 if you remember. Remember when I told you this is how, and that was the new AI around the entire world? See, what you really don't understand is even in California, when that situation happened in California where everything burned down and now they trying to rebuild, and they gonna rebuild a smart city, smart LA, you don't know what's going on in Mexico. See, I'm giving you the theory of your life. You don't know if they just put that down right now and say, hey, partner, this how we finna get into Mexico. This is how we burn down everything. Because this you gotta understand, fam. None of us are finna sit up in here and say, hey, just blow up the whole block. Just knock down every building in the whole block and rebuild everything. We not doing that. So what happened in my city was they had something to do with their weather crisis. Because that type of weather that came in a matter of moments and seconds, you know, that was manipulated by the people. So when I say that storm came and took the whole downtown, he took the whole city of St. Louis. Just took it. Came and gone. And now the city is ground zero. So the point I'm making, fam, is that in the midst of knowing this, you don't know how they have to take over Mexico. You don't know how they have to plan to break Mexico down. See, they got to break it down and demo it out and start building in new houses, new units, new streets, new everything. So I give you that theory and that scenario because why? That's the best way to get in Mexico is to cause anarchy. And they literally have the cartel burning stuff down, and then you got the police fighting them and burning stuff down. So them choosing to do things, because think about it, when everything happened here in St. Louis with Mike Brown, right? Bring you up to par. When it happened with Mike Brown, everybody was outside. Everybody was outside. When I say everybody, I'm talking about everybody in the city was outside. Think about it. So it was a riot. Everybody was going in wherever. The most people that you would see was going into any gas station, any store, anything. Rage, outrage, busting windows publicly. See, what you gotta understand is how we view the public. People view the public as the authority. People looked at these businesses as authority businesses, established businesses that are professional and looked at as it could affect the city, it could affect police, it could affect all of that. And what they did affect everything because they caused chaos and riots. But the point I'm making is it was gonna take something like that for us to be outside causing chaos and riots. If they want to uproar, you see Minnesota, don't you? So now y'all get rid of El Mencho. Y'all get rid of El Mencho, and now all of a sudden, they burning the whole Mexico up. Huh? The entire, boy, that's crazy.
Mexico is on high alert.
The drug cartels taking on the Mexican federal government and threatening to kill anyone who gets in their way.
Tourists in the popular Mexican holiday city of Puerto Vallarta trapped in their hotels as war rages on the streets below.
Violence following the killing of the notorious cartel boss El Mencho.
I would put him at the same level as Pablo Escobar and El Chapo.
His full name?
Okay, now listen, Ruth. That's how I was coming tomorrow. And I appreciate you bringing it up right now. It's all good. So Ruth says, Dilla T, what are your thoughts on the lady's mom being kidnapped? She's referring to the lady Guthrie. My thoughts on that are simple. She know who did the kidnapping. When Nancy Guthrie's daughter, which is the co-host to Good Morning America, she did a series of interviews with the women of the Epstein files. And she really went deep. And I mean, she went as deep as if she had an agenda of her own to really find out what happened and to bring those things, that darkness, to light. But then all of a sudden, your mom come up missing. And now, the information that I've received and that I have, be prepared tomorrow. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, become a member today. You're gonna win. We here to save your life. You better hear me. That woman went on a rant to press and ask the women of the Epstein files what happened and the way it happened. And she did a couple TV primetime interviews. But then all of a sudden your mama come up missing. And by the way, your mama ain't young. So when you talking about, you know, how it happened, what happened, and the way it's happened, and then the information I'm gonna provide tomorrow that shows how they've been laying on her mama. They've been laying on her mama. Yeah, they've been laying on her, waiting on this, and they've been laying on her. But I'm trying to tell you how it was funny to me, because I had seen the interviews and I didn't really recognize Ruth, that was the TV co-host, Good Morning America co-host. That was her mom. And I'm like, what? And then when I started finding out that's her mom, and then, oh, that's what she did. And then, oh, when did she do it? And how long was the mama gone? And how man, let me tell you something, boy, she in some hot water. And she dealing with some people that she don't even know. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you one thing, two things. One, the scenario that I just said about that girl interviewing everybody about the Epstein files, and they finding out and then they shut her down. One. Two, she sold her soul as well. And she with them people too. And she know what come with that. And she know what she got to do. You understand? So when I say they doing broad daylight message sending, letting you know don't play with us, it was different. But trust me, make sure you hear tomorrow night, make sure you hear Monday through Friday at 9 p.m., but especially tomorrow night so you can know. Because I'm glad you brought that up. That was another thing I was stretching out. I just needed to see the story. But let me tell you something. See, here at No Filters with Dilla T, I can hear about something, right? I can hear about that story. I can hear it again. I can hear it again. I can hear it again. But until I come down to more and deep in truth, I'm not finna open up the door for that. Especially here for me and my people here at No Filters. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. We cooking. So I don't just come up with that. I be needing to get more information. I be needing to know what's going on, like for real, the real. And now that I found out the real, I'm gonna give y'all a little hint.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, they know what's going on. They know what's going on. When I seen her, the daddy and somebody else, and they was in front of the camera reading a letter talking about we'll pay you whatever you want and all of this and whatever you need. Boy, I said, this ain't the most stupidest stuff I ever seen in my life. But nothing shocks us. We put nothing past nobody, Ruth, because at the end of the day, she's in a very high place. But also, at the end of the day, she interviewed some very strong people about Epstein files. So it was real because that's how it came. So when I tell you, we got to be careful on what's real, because again, that girl mama is missing. And it started at a certain time, and it ain't the same time that they told her she was missing. They had been looking for her. They had been laying on her. They looked her up. Boy, y'all gonna see something tomorrow where you see the date that they started looking this lady up and looking for her from the date that they came up talking about she missing. And that right there almost sound like Lil Jon's son. The date the boy run out the house up against the date he is found around the corner of the lake. What are we talking about, B? What? Crazy work, fam. Yeah, laying on them is plotting. Yeah, Ruth, that's what laying on them is, yes. That's plotting. So that's what I mean. These people are finding these people later, but they already missing days before, and nobody's saying nothing until that date when they had already been gone. And these are things they can't even do nothing about. So yeah, Ruth, that's what I think about that. Very wicked, very evil, very off the chain, very people that, you know, involved with some things that you just wouldn't think that. And that's how fast it happened. That lady do this, all of a sudden this lady come up missing. And it's funny because I heard about this, I'm looking at this, I'm hearing about it, but I'm like, why are we talking about this lady out of everybody? See, some stuff I don't be understanding either. Some name on the news will come up, and I'm like, it's a bunch of people out here missing. Why is she so famous? And here we have it, found out. That's the mother of the co-anchor of Good Morning America, man. That's old girl that was standing on the side of, you remember fam that went into that MK Ultra and he was like, he was stuck. Right. The Good Morning America black bald-headed dude. Al. There you go, Chris. So she was the one on the side of Al. So think about it. She know. If she know about MK Ultra, fam, she know what the deal is. She know who involved. She know who here. So if she did them interviews with them girls about Epstein files, she knew who she was dealing with. She knows, man. She knows, man. So yeah, Ruth, that's what that is. We're gonna make sure we tuning in tomorrow because that's how real it is. She knows, fam.
In Mexico, and I'm going to talk about the difference between Mexican cartels and the American and Italian mafia. Big difference. And I'll get into that in a minute. Let me first review what happened yesterday. Mexio Ruben Osguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, he was the leader and founder of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, and he was killed in a Mexican military operation in Jalisco State on Sunday, the 22nd of February, 2026, which was just recent. Mexican authorities describe this as one of the most significant blows to organized crime, the cartels, since the capture of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Big deal. Everybody knows who El Chapo was. And they're saying this is the biggest, capture, killing of any drug lord ever since the capture of El Chapo. The operation took place in or near the mountain town of Tapalpa in his home state of Jalisco. It was conducted by Mexican Army Special Forces. Officials say they attempted to apprehend him. He was wounded in a shootout, and then he died while being airlifted to Mexico City for a medical treatment. U.S. agencies, get this now, provided intelligence support to Mexican forces, reflecting close U.S.-Mexico coordination and U.S. political pressure to target cartel leadership. Since Trump got into office, he's been pressuring Mexico to come down on the cartels. He labeled them a terrorist group. He even said that he was going to go into Mexico on his own. The Mexican government resisted that, which I understand. They don't want foreign forces coming into their country. They said, we'll do it. But we do know now that America's been working with the Mexican government to try to get this cartel situation under control. And hey, cartels want to operate in Mexico, fine. Just keep them out of the United States. Unfortunately, there's a big market here for drugs. It's going to be difficult. California, where I live, is one of the main entryways for all the drugs. We have a sanctuary city, thanks to our wonderful governor and our democratic leadership here. So drugs pour in, no question, and they go throughout this state and throughout the country. So the American U.S. forces, I believe what happened here, not positive, but this is what I believe, in the same way that U.S. intelligence was able to pinpoint where Maduro was in Venezuela, they gave that reconnaissance and that information to Mexico, and they, in turn, the Mexican government was able to locate and apprehend El Mencho. Let me continue. At this point, I got to tell you, people, my blackberry wine, it's in such high demand. Blackberry, strawberry, my two favorites out of all of our fruit wines. So when you see me enjoying a glass of Franzese wine, it's normally my blackberry. I don't have a glass of wine every single day. I would say 2-3 times a week. Maybe a little bit more depending upon where I am. Beautiful wine, I guarantee that you will, but they're delicious. Free violence in multiple states, especially Jalisco, which Puerto Vallarta being one of them. Reports indicate buses and vehicles were burned, highways and city roads were blocked, and attacks carried out on businesses and infrastructure. As far as we know, I believe there were 30 deaths, but I don't believe any American citizens were killed. Important to know. I don't believe any American citizens were killed up until this point. Guadalajara and other cities partially shut down, residents stayed indoors, and major tourist areas like Puerto Vallarta were affected. U.S. diplomatic missions issued shelter-in-place advisories and travel warnings for Americans in affected regions. I know they stopped, the airport was shut down in Puerto Vallarta and other places. All flights going in and out from the major airlines were stopped. I believe as of Monday, they were starting up again. As of Monday, there was no violence that we were able to see in Puerto Vallarta. And the reason I keep mentioning Puerto Vallarta, because that's the city that was all over the news. And like I said, I visit there quite often. Wonderful city, beautiful place. People are always wonderful in Mexico. They're always just so outgoing, so, hospitable. They want to do everything for you. The Mexican people are great. Who he was. His full name, Mexio Ruben Osguero Cervantes, alias El Mencho. He believed to be around 59 years old at the time of his death. He was the founder and undisputed head of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, one of the most powerful criminal organizations in Mexico. And let me tell you something, the cartels in Mexico are very powerful. They have their own military. They rival the government there. There's no question about it. It's not like the mafia here in the United States, I'll get into that, or even the mafia in Italy. They rival the government. They have artillery, they have power. They have a lot of government people on the payroll, probably mostly the local police more than anything else. No question about it. They've been running that country in a big way for a very long time. One of the reasons why Trump was putting pressure on the Mexican government to get rid of the cartels. I don't think they'll ever do it, but he's pressuring them. Under his leadership, El Mencho, CJNG expanded rapidly, rivaling or surpassing the Sinaloa, which is a major cartel influence across multiple Mexican states. CJNG's core activities included large-scale cocaine and methamphetamine trafficking, fentanyl distribution to the United States, extortion, fuel theft, kidnapping, and control of local economies. I want to tell you, a lot of the cartels, there's drugstores on every corner in legitimate legal drugstores on every corner in Mexico. And from my understanding, most of the cartels own these drugstores. They operate them, they own them, and they're legal. How that happens, I don't know. I'm not that involved in it. He cultivated a reputation as a ghost boss. Few current photos, very low public profile, operating from rural strongholds to evade capture for years. He was smart in that regard. He wasn't a John Gotti type. Known for sanctioning extreme public violence, attacks on military convoys, mutilated bodies left as messages, and terror tactics against communities. I have to say this, from my observation of the cartels, they don't have a high value on human life. They like public executions. They want people to know they have authority, they have power, they have muscle, and they carry weight. And they do it very publicly with respect to that. And, the Mexican people are even in fear of them. There's no question about it. You don't want to step out of line with these drug cartels. He faced multiple U.S. federal indictments, including drug trafficking and weapons charges, as well as operating a continuing criminal enterprise under the Kingpin Act. So he was wanted here in the United States. The U.S. had offered up to $10 to $15 million for information leading to his capture, placing him among the world's most wanted criminals. Son Ruben Azaguera Gonzalez, El Menchito, was extradited to the U.S., convicted of drug and weapons charges, and is serving a life sentence in a Florence, Colorado supermax. Okay, so they got his son. His daughter, Jessica Joanna Azaguera Gonzalez, pleaded guilty in the U.S. to offenses related to money laundering and the Kingpin Act violations and was released in 2022. So they got his kids too. Other close relatives are also believed to be in U.S. custody, weakening any direct bloodline succession. So who wins from all this? Well, the Mexican government, they gained a major symbolic victory. They demonstrated the capacity to strike top-tier cartel leadership after years of being criticized. The Mexican government is always criticized because people believe that the cartels run the country. Can frame the operation as a key success in restoring security ahead of high-profile international events such as the World Cup matches that occur in Mexico. It strengthens its position in bilateral negotiations and security cooperation with the United States. Maybe now the United States will have a little more faith in Mexico's ability to apprehend and their desire to apprehend the cartels. A lot of Mexican government officials, it was hands off. They didn't want to mess with the cartels. Too messy, too bloody. They just stayed away. Just don't upset the apple cart and we'll leave you guys alone. Not a good policy. For the U.S. government law enforcement, it removes a primary architect of fentanyl and meth that flows into the U.S., at least at the leadership level. So maybe we cut off. Is it going to stop? No, it's not. Validates intelligence sharing and joint operations with Mexican military forces. Like I said, it was the United States that gave them the intelligence information, we believe, that pinpointed the whereabouts of El Mencho. It provides a high-profile example to argue that pressure, sanctions, and coordinated operations can produce results when you're going against these cartels. What happens with rival criminal organizations? Well, the Sinaloa-aligned factions and other regional groups see an opening now to move into CJNG territories, ports, and smuggling corridors, and they're going to try to do that. No question. The Sinaloa cartel is very powerful. Local gangs may leverage the power vacuum to seize control of local markets and rackets. Now, just because they took the leader out doesn't mean that the cartel is going to fall apart. There's always somebody to take your place. However, these wins typically come with a significant rise in violence as groups contest those spaces. Here's the problem. It's not so much the cartels going after American citizens or normal people. They're going to go after one another. And when that happens, violence breaks out in different towns, different cities.
Okay, so this is the mob boss, former mob boss. Did time in the pen. His name Michael Franz. And he's fully familiar. I think he was breaking down the difference between the Mexican cartel and the mob in Italy and the mob in the United States. As you can see, he said the Mexican cartel used the police. I mean, they used the forces. So really, Mexico not even being ran by the government. They're being ran by the cartel. Now that's just, can you fathom that, fam? Can you understand that? Can you live in that? You living in a place where the cartel runs your city. You almost don't even got to be worried about having no bad driver's license, because the cartel ain't about to pull you over for your license. They gonna pull you over because you ain't bringing in them birds, or you ain't buying nothing about no money. You ain't got to worry about your license. You ain't got to worry about driving under the influence, driving while you're drunk. You ain't got to worry about none of that. This the cartel, fam. Yeah. It's either you join them or you ain't even really got to trip off you with your license or nothing. You just got to go home and go where you're going. Just stay out the way. I couldn't fathom the cartel trying to run USA. That could never happen. Like the mob, because think about it, the mob couldn't even run USA. They could be a part of running it, but they not just finna run the USA. The cartel is literally running Mexico. You understand? They running Mexico. So the guy that we was just listening to, he's Italian. His name is Mike Franz something, but he was a mob boss. He got locked up, got out. His channel is based on those things and him breaking down the types of moves that are made through the government and through mobs, cartels, the difference between the mob in Italy, you know, the real mob in Italy, and then the mob that's here in Vegas. Like, he's breaking that down. He worked for both of them. You see what I'm saying? So he's telling you the level of power that the cartel possesses and the level of power that the government possesses by dealing with these people. Why is Trump so amped? I get it now. I ain't gonna lie. If I was the president and I knew that the cartel was running this country over here, or this state, or this city, yeah, I feel some type of way. Because me knowing that I am the law, I am the top of the law. I'm the president of the United States. I'm the law. I'm the military. I'm everything in between. So of course, my gang, cartel, mob is bigger, stronger than yours. Yours is made up of everyday guys and regular people with no training, no endurance. Mine is made up of people being recruited, training, endurance, understanding their job every day, one way. Shave your head. Like, oh yeah, it's like that. It's discipline. So I get why Trump like, hold up, dirty. We not finna keep letting little Juju and Santiago and Noriego. We not finna keep letting it. We not finna, you know what I'm saying, Chris? He like, oh no, it's straight cutthroat. When them things bust, wonder what they hit for. Where the ankles will break your neck. We get to the pesos. And if Pedro want to go and get Sanchez and Diego, then tie him up and lay low and sit it in the back just really till I finish this facts. Like, that's how the bars create, just off of thinking about. You know what I'm saying? Straight cutthroat. When them things bust, wonder what they hit for. Where the ankles will break your neck. We get to the pesos, and if Pedro want to go get Sanchez and Diego, then tie him up and lay low. Then sit it in the back just really till I finish this track. Now my swaggerlations is a domination of a gangster nation where the population is a domination and the operation and the... And the operation is not the basic. Face it, frustration play a big role in this. I feel like contemplating just as soon as I spit it. Put it in the beginning that the defendant is a high rep. He feeling offended, so I gotta win it myself. Shut up. It's a way to do it, fam. Things just start to light up and start taking over. And your brain start just coming out your face. I about thought I could just write all of that down. But at some point you will hear that. But I'm just saying, fam, that's how it started. It's always a starting point, you feel me? So that's what I mean by how could a cartel ever run a city? You think I would live in a city that the cartel would ever run? Put it in the beginning that the defendant is a high rep, even in the finish, so I gotta win it myself, taking the room so they know that there ain't no space left. Give me the broom so I can sweep them off of this ship. You know I'm tripping. You know I'm tripping, down there. You know I'm tripping. You get out of hand, fam. It can get crazy. It's real. I can't talk to cats. You crazy. But you can learn something, boy. You better hear it. You better hear me when I tell it like it is, fam. You hear me? But that's what I'm saying, man. That's the situation. That's how you come off the, you know what I'm saying? Like how you just pull it out of me. How you just pull it out of me, fam. Yeah, man. So that's what I mean by the create, you know, that's how the world is working. The cartel is running the city. You know, the city running their life. So it's a lot of things that go away. Shout out to Lori, my mom. She know what it is. It's a real thing. So when you're talking about the city, you're talking about the life, you're talking about living in those standards, people that's living in the cartel, I know their family's been through a lot. It's a lot going on. So it's a difference, you know what I mean, on how they go about those things. But I would say more that I just feel bad because I get why Trump would say, hey, nobody's above the law. No mob, no cartel, no Russian spies, no nothing is above the law. And that's the way you got to go about it. But again, corrupt Trump. Put that in the nation, corrupt Trump. Nobody could believe him. Nobody could roll with him because the corrupt Trump, that cell is 7 seas. So it's a difference, man. I'm trying to tell you, it's a real thing. So hit that like button, double tap that screen. Don't forget who you in here with, your boy Dealatofficial and my fam. And you know this no filters. Hit that double tap that screen. Double tap that screen if you know what's good for you. You can get them bars too. Don't forget, you get them bars, fam. You know, you can Google Dealatofficial. It's real. It's really real. You can hit that like button, double tap that screen. It's like that. Queen Shay in the building. You already know what it is. I truly appreciate you, fam. That's how we doing it in the way it's got to be done. What I say, what I thought I was tripping when I said, I thought I was tripping because I said something like, we cooking.
And people maybe get caught in a crossfire or they're afraid to go out of their house. It disrupts businesses, puts things at a standstill. So that's what you got to worry about. We're going to see what happens now in the next couple of months or next couple of weeks maybe. Hopefully, you know, it's not going to affect tourism, but I don't know. State Department is saying, hey, don't go to Mexico. So we'll see. Who clearly loses in the short term? Well, civilians in CJNG dominated areas face increased risk from blockades, arson, and shootouts. There's going to be a power struggle here. There's no question about it. So normal people, unfortunately, innocent people, are going to be impacted by this. Businesses and tourism in Jalisco and other affected states suffer from fear and travel warnings. Biggest thing. If we're being told to stay out of Mexico, nobody's going to travel there for the foreseeable future. Local security forces may face revenge attacks and intensified ambushes. What we know about the cartel and what to expect. High militarized cartels with paramilitary style units. Remember, this is like military. They have a lot of equipment. They have firepower. They're armored vehicles, heavy weaponry capable of confronting state forces directly. They can fight the government. The mafia in the U.S. can't, and the mafia in Italy really can't. We don't have that paramilitary type of equipment. Not in Italy, not in America. We'll get into that more. More decentralized than older cartels, built on regional cells and semi-autonomous franchises that pledge loyalty but cooperate independently. So what they're saying is maybe now there's going to be a lot of little gangs that are going to take over or operate independently without answering to one of the major cartels. I don't know if that'll be allowed to happen. It's like the mafia allowing little gangs to operate in their territory. They're not going to allow that.
Right, and see what's gonna happen is, hit that like button, double tap that screen. What's gonna happen is, this is a great opportunity for Trump, corrupt Trump, to come in and set. What's the word I'm looking for? Not set law. It's a great word for him to come in and set. What is the word? It's like right here on my face. Lord, give me the word. My people in here always gonna got me right. CBL in the building. This is a great time for him to set president. CBL in the building, coming in at the right time. You know what it is, fam. This is the right moment for Trump to come in and set precedent, because once he does that, this is just like ICE taking over Minneapolis. I can see that. And then think about this. He been deporting everybody from here back to wherever they came from. And a lot of them come from Mexico. Okay? So the corruption, the madness is already stirring the pot. But when you're talking about Iran, and we'll see, we're talking about World War III. Hit your like button. Somebody need to type World War III. Because I don't think you understand that we living in it right now. It's nothing but liquor stores, beauty supply houses, spouses bored, making nothing out of something for that child support, hoping, wishing they decisions be on one accord. You on your knees for the Lord, but she on her knees to be whored. Hold up! I don't know if you really got that. That just hit me here. It like just took like the other side of my face. It made me just come out of my face and say that. Like stuff is hitting. You hear me? I said it's nothing but liquor stores, beauty supply houses, spouses bored, making nothing out of something for that child support, hoping, wishing your decisions be on one accord. You on your knees for the Lord, but she on her knees to be whored. So you gonna make sure you get that on World War. See, that's man for. See, the album coming, the concert coming. Be ready to be protected. Be ready, because when the time it's one night only with your boy Dilla T. You gonna get it. The new album, man for they sell. We got the shirt. We got it all coming. Man for they shelter, everything. Everybody in here gonna get you one, fam. I'm gonna make sure everybody in here gonna get the album. Man for they shelf. Your boy Dilla T is really coming. It's really like that. But I need you to really understand how serious it is today for this to drop. And how serious it is that the world is really going to understand that we back at it for real. It's like that. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. It's the reason why you here. We here to learn something. I told you earlier that everything you're doing, you would love for it to be a logic way to do it, but it's not logic, because that means that doesn't require feelings. And everything you do requires feelings, because if you didn't feel what you was doing, you wouldn't even understand the degree of how you affect the world. That's just like not understanding. That's not having the sense of taste, hearing, or seeing. It's a reason why you need to know how far you're going. And it's a reason why we have to feel everything we feel. And some of us don't want to have feelings because of what we're going through. We want to be numb to the BS. But see, it's a reason you got to feel it. I just said earlier, have you ever been around somebody that ain't been through nothing? I said this earlier. If you ever been around somebody that ain't been through nothing, you almost sit there and thank God that you've been through what you've been through. Because that gives you the understanding that you learned something. You know something. As we continue to keep hearing problems arise, new situations occurring, new headlines in the news. This is us constantly going through something to learn something. And as we come in Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. right here with my family and your boy Dilla T right here at No Filters, we are shining light on those headlines so you can realize this is another trial, another tribulation for you to learn something from it. You keep thinking, we keep hearing, oh my God, somebody just unalived. Oh my God, somebody just got locked up. Oh my God, some more Epstein files. You almost thinking it's getting boring, but you could almost think that, oh my God, it's just another problem. But in one of these stories, in one of these messages, and in one of these episodes, something is going to read, World War III is underway. Something is going to read, Donald J. Trump behind bars. You never thought Diddy would be where he's at today. You never thought, in your right mind, you never thought. Even when the girl was getting beat up on camera in the hotel, you still didn't think he was going to get locked up, did you? Be honest. When you seen Cassidy getting smacked up, you still didn't think Diddy was going to get locked up, did you? Yes or no? I'll wait. I didn't think he was getting locked up. That's my vote right now. I'm starting with me. I ain't think he was. Did you, Chris? Let me know right now. Did you think he was getting... Be honest with yourself. I seen him grab her, through her. I seen him come up and hit her. He hit her with one of them old school back in the day hits. Just coming up from anywhere. Like what? Like mother, just out of no structure to the swing. No straight up, no roundhouse, no uppercut, no nothing. It was just a free-handed come up this way like he was hitting her with all of this. He hitting her with all, he ain't even hitting her with the knuckles. He hit her with this. He just coming up, you stupid mother. And I still didn't think the man was getting locked up. Then he kicked her a couple times. Hit her with the bag, threw the bag at her, threw her at the bag. All that. And I still didn't feel like that wasn't enough. That's sad. That's sad for a millionaire, billionaire, cajillionaire, zillionaire. That's sad. Because even in those moments, we still don't feel like there's nothing that's above them. There's no law, no accountability, no responsibility that's above them. Not in any of that moment did we feel that way. But I'm here to tell you, P. Diddy is incarcerated right now. Oh, but God. See, don't judge me. I'm here to tell you right now, you better hear me today. I don't care if you copied something, if you ain't listening, if you ain't typed nothing in there, don't come up in here judging me. Listen to me, I implore you to judge me. I appreciate your judgment. But you're going to be confused when you start judging me. Because I stand on business. I stand on my beliefs. I stand on what I'm going to do to you if you do something to me. Don't judge me, but I implore you to do so. Because you're going to find out the hard way. You're going to find out what I believe in. You're going to find out my beliefs. You're gonna find out what I stand on business. And you're gonna find out if you do something to me. So when you see me speak in this tone, or you see me take bars a certain way, don't be discouraged. Just know I got a lot to say. As always, fam, you know the deal. You know the business and you know what's going on each and every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. right here with your boy Dilla T and my fam right here at No Filters. As always, fam, I truly appreciate you tuning in, coming in, making sure that you're in here with you something to eat and something to drink, making sure you got you something to smoke if that's what you're doing. Truly appreciate each and every one of y'all taking time out to come in here, pay attention. Taking your time, making sure you're paying attention, making sure you understand we bringing light to darkness, making sure we here to inform, understand, and be aware that if it walk like a, talk like a, you know it's a duck and it's duck hunting season, family. As always, family, you know I truly appreciate each and every one of y'all making time to come in from work, making sure that you get comfortable and ready to tune in to learn something that we don't know each and every day, that we know one day that if we need to know it, we here to learn it so we can share it with our brothers and sisters in the Lord. As always, family, I truly appreciate you never forgetting that raffle. One woman, one man. Always here to win a No Filters Classic hoodie or No Filters Classic t-shirt. Signed by your boy Dilla T. Sponsored by your girl Nene Love Savvy TV. Always in the building. As always, family, you already know I truly appreciate you coming in. Never forgetting that when you come in, you make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode and share this with the world. And of course, family, never forget when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Because you know the title, fam. You in here with your boy Dilla T and my fam. And this is No Filters. As always, good night, family. Y'all be safe. Salute, my G. Y'all be great. God bless. Good night, Brandon. Good night, Kat. Good night, Chris. Good night, Ruth. Good night, Lord. Till next time.